afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for joining in today's LULAC, Latino Leaders, the Past, the Present, and the Future, Spotlight for Hispanic Heritage Month. We have the honor of today showcasing one of today's leaders. His name is Miguel Aviles. He is a wonderful speaker. He's a young entrepreneur. And what we want to learn from him, how did he get where he is today at such a young age? Miguel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you so much, Sarita and LULAC. It's so good to be with you all today. Sarita, while I look young, I spent over 15 years in the federal government, started as a GS4 student trainee and made it to a senior manager position. So it has been quite a journey and I cannot wait to talk more with you about it. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you and your audience.
You say that you were in the federal government for a long period of time. Tell me a little bit, how did you begin your journey with the federal government?
Sarita, I will never forget the summer of 2007. I grew up in the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. I am originally from a little town called San Sebastian. And every summer, I wanted to get out of the island to work in the federal government, but you know that it can be a little bit challenging. However, I had a friend in school that said, hey, Miguel, you should apply to HACU, the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities Summer Internship. And I sent my application. Sarita, every week they gave students an update on applications, and every week they kept saying 70% of occupations have been filled, 80% until one Monday. They sent an email and said 95% of applications have been fulfilled. So basically I thought to myself, I won't be able to start my internship this summer. But one Monday afternoon, a lady from a different kind of phone number called me and said, hey, Miguel, you have been selected. At the time, the only thing I heard was the word selected, but the U.S. Forest Service, USDA, gave me an opportunity as a summer intern. And I will be remiss if I don't say that opportunity led me to start my full-time career in government, which, Sarita, I have to thank you because, in 2008, you gave me that opportunity to start my formal career in the federal government as a student trainee in Puerto Rico for the Department of Defense, doing recruitment and outreach targeting the Hispanic community. And that's how it started.
Okay. Now you're saying you're a Latino entrepreneur. So how did you begin your research and what made you decide into going into or building your own consulting business and leaving the federal government? Because as you know, most of the times when you start with the federal government and you have that career, you say, hey, this is a secure job. It's an excellent opportunity. The benefits are great. So what made you go into this new world as an entrepreneur and a speaker?
At the end of the day, it's all about impact and the impact that you have in the people and how your actions help others achieve their own purpose or their destiny or do what they were called to do. So government was everything to me. I mean, my career, the experiences, the opportunity, and the value and what I was able to offer back to the community was everything for me. But at the end of the day, it was all about impact. And while everything starts with a dream, the actions that you take is what truly matter. So I've been wanting to pursue my motivational speaking, my keynote speaking for many years. And there are lots of programs out there for entrepreneurs to be. So I want to encourage you, if you have that passion, that energy to wanting to start your business, hey, do a research. There are opportunities, and that's what I did at the time. And I found a small business administration program called SCORE, and they are all over the place, and they help entrepreneurs start their business through training, through different opportunities, and they help you connect with mentors that have done it. And that's what I did. I connected with SCORE at sba.gov, and they gave me everything I needed to start in the form of instruction. So after that, once I knew what was required, then I started building my expertise, my brand, and preparing financially to embark in an entrepreneurship journey. So once you become an expert in your field, once you build your brand, and once you are financially ready, then you can make that leap towards achieving impact in your community.
So, okay, you left the federal government for that. Do you believe a career in the federal government helped you to take this leap? And if so, how so?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, spending over a decade in government prepares you to become that professional, that expert in your field. In my case, diversity and inclusion, outreach and recruitment, which we can categorize those under talent management or human capital. So I became a global expert on that, and that's thanks to the federal government. You know, the opportunities that I was given, the challenges that I was faced to overcome as a young leader. Each one of those experiences prepared me as a diversity and inclusion expert that now offers services to other clients. And the stories are many, the experiences are many. But once you start learning how to provide that expertise to federal agencies, then you are prepared to go to private sector, to nonprofit, to academia, and other industries. And I will say this, Sarita, some people think that doing a career in federal government is not advantageous, or it cannot be good, or it can be boring. Not at all. In my experience, federal government provides some of the most remarkable missions out there. And in my humble opinion, if the federal government accomplishes some changes in the hiring process and in the way we do business, we will be able to tap into Generation C, which right now, Hispanics are the largest minority in Gen Z. So if we make certain changes, we will be able to reach out more people, because the mission of federal agencies is just incomparable, in my opinion.
All I can say in response to that, Miguel, is preach. I'm telling you, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I like the message you're sending out there. I know we try to reach out to a Latino community, but this message applies to all communities, and that's a fantastic message. And I know you're extremely involved with leadership. Leadership is your thing in terms of your speaking engagements, things like that. Based on your experiences and what you're doing out there with your speaking engagement stuff, what do you think are some of the top challenges Hispanic leaders are facing today?
You know, Sarah, in 2017, I accepted a role as the first Chief of Diversity and Inclusion of a military service, particular military sea service. And I was the first one in history, the first civilian. That role taught me how challenging leadership can be. And when you are the first, when you are the first Hispanic or the first civilian or first anything, there is a set of joys and opportunities and challenges that come with that. So as I face that opportunity and challenge, which was the most remarkable in my whole career, I also learned that there is a strong need for a community. And the other day, I was meeting with some global experts and leaders, executives in diversity and inclusion, and we were sharing the same thought. And there was a commonality coming in our speeches, which was, we feel alone. We feel we don't have a community. And when I heard these other seasoned executives, I'm telling you, Sarita, 10, 20 more years of experience than me, and they were saying, we feel alone at this level. Then I understood when you take these leadership positions and when you take the lead, finding your community is key. So when I think about top challenges facing the Hispanic leaders right now, listen, there are not many of us at the top. So once you get there, let's strive to find that sense of community. Find those mentors, those sponsors, those colleagues that are there for you. Because being lonely at the top in this day and age is not an option. So get out there and build that community before you get to a senior leadership position.
And you said building the community, and I want you to reaffirm, or if you believe what I'm saying, is that when you seek out your community, it doesn't mean that because you're Hispanic, you have to look for Hispanic. It's just people that have things in common with you besides your ethnicity. It's having something in common. That's what makes a family. I'll give an example. I have a community, a large community. My volunteers in FTR is large compared to other people. My community don't all look like Sarita. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, most of them don't even look like me. But I have a community which is, they help me from Hispanic, African American, teachers, senior executives, engineers, mathematicians, all. It's just finding something that they have in common with you that can serve as a force to help you or someone to continue motivating you. What do you have to say about that?
Absolutely, Sarita. Our diversity is our strength. Our diversity is our power. So when we find different points of views, and you're hitting it home, because when we look at diversity, the dimensions of diversity, the first thing that comes to mind is race, ethnicity, but people tend to forget age. Social status, education, geographic location, generation, sexual identity, and then you keep going. There are over 35 diversity dimensions. So absolutely, if you want to become stronger, better, faster, get an advisory board with people that are different from you, Sarita. So I absolutely agree with that, because the challenges that you will face will require the perspectives of a vast array of people. And it's in that perspective is where you find your opportunities and your strategies and the plans and the ways to overcome any barrier is thrown your way.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because a lot of people don't understand that diversity does not necessarily include ethnicity, the color of your skin, or whatever. It's much more than that. Like you said, there's various factors to determine what diversity is. And I'm so glad that you brought that to light and that you better defined what it is as well. You're a Latino. And of course, we always have to have our little sazon, our little Latino sazon. How have you used your Latinidad in your business?
You know, my duality is power. You know, I'm 100% Latino, 100% American. And it's in that combination and my ability to jump from one side or to the other if I want, gives me, in my humble opinion, an advantage. And it's an opinion. You know, for example, I am able to speak Spanish. I'm able to speak English. I'm able to speak Spanglish. And it's in that duality that I bring value to organizations and to problems and to different situations. So my Latinidad doesn't stay away. I am my Latinidad. I am, as a Hispanic millennial, I bring my whole self to the equation. The challenge is sometimes organizational cultures are not creating a safe space to allow people to bring that Latinidad to the mix. And right now, with the big resignation that we are experiencing, people are leaving jobs left and right, and they're leaving jobs because organizational cultures are not allowing us to bring our whole selves to the workplace. So I will say that organizations, hey, let people bring their whole selves their talents and their abilities to the mix so we can continue to drive performance, drive engagement, and at the end of the day, drive impact.
That is so good. You are in your capacity now as a speaker. I know that you're one of your signature talks is inclusive heroes. Tell us more about that learning experience, and can you explain why you chose heroes?
You know, Sarita, people love heroes. Hero stories, you have all these superhumans or with super strength and superpowers. But I believe that at the end of the day, there is a hero in every one of us. And my goal here is to encourage people, to equip people with the inclusive behaviors, competencies, and skills to become inclusive leaders. When I think about the future is inclusion, the future is diversity, the future is belonging. So this particular training, I had the opportunity to present it a few years back in San Francisco. And it gave me the opportunity to create a learning experience that takes the participant through different experiential scenarios, case studies, videos, questions, self-reflection, group discussions, with the goal to learn what an inclusive leader is. And it's a combination of skills, humility, empowerment, openness, responsibility, equity, systemic thinking, etc. So, Sarita, I'm happy to announce that later this year, I'll be launching a masterclass on the inclusive heroes, and I'm excited to say that a global organization is commissioning this talk, and we're going to, for the first time in history, teach it in Spanish, actually. It's going to be in Spanish and translated in 15 different languages. So inclusive heroes, keep it in mind because it's coming close to you.
You talk about heroes. I would like to ask you a personal question.
Yes.
Can you mention one of your top heroes? One of your heroes?
You know, Sarita, I will tell you that my mom, her name is Yolanda, and we have, for those of you that have been with me in different speeches, she is the hero in many of my stories. And I know that each one of you that is watching this recording have your own hero. And we learn from those individuals. We also learn to respect what they did for us. And it's by honoring them that we obtain that energy to become our own heroes. And let me tell you, each one of us has a calling. Each one of us have an opportunity to add value. And Sarita, some people, think about heroes like these people that are so huge, so amazing. No, each one of us and the actions by adding value to others can become that hero. And I will say, if we create a movement where each one of you, Sarita, myself, and everyone watching this, does something good for somebody else, that's the hero effect. And that's the goal that I have in my company, is to create a global movement that creates and prepares heroes across the nations to add value, to add inclusion, and to help organizations bring the best in everybody.
Thank you so much for giving that information on your heroes. It reminds me so much of someone that I knew that said, if you're in this role and you have an opportunity to do something and you don't do anything in this role, you've come here and you've wasted your time. And that was, by the way, Roberto Clemente before he passed away.
All right.
So, but we talk about heroes, and he was a hero as well, but our subject is not him at this point. It's all about you and everything you've done, and I am so proud of you, of everything you've accomplished. But I also know, the little bird told me that you were featured on the Washington Post and Telemundo on your Hispanic 101 talks. Tell me a little bit more about that, and tell me where you see our community in 10 years.
Sarita, the Wall Street Journal said the Latino factor will save America's economy. And if you go to the news, you will see Latinos and Hispanics are at the center of almost every conversation. When I look at the numbers, 1 in 5 millennials, the largest generation in the workplace today, is Hispanic. 1 of 4 Gen Zers are Hispanic. When you go to the schools, over 50% of the kids are from the Hispanic community. So when I look at the Hispanic workforce, I think about the next decade. I have lots of hopes, and I have hope to see more Hispanics in leadership positions. And at the same time, I am hoping and I am positively thinking that people, particularly those in power positions, will have a better understanding of what the Hispanic community is and how to better engage with them and to give them the place they deserve in this country. So Hispanics 101 gets to that, gets to developing a strong foundation about who we are, about our core values. Yes, about the numbers too, because numbers are important. We are more than 63 million individuals in this country. We are over 17% of the labor force, yet we still are underrepresented in leadership occupations, underrepresented in the STEM field, underrepresented in the financial industry, in the tech industry, and I can keep going and going and going. So 10 years from now, I hope that we have closed that gap quite a bit, and that Latinos and Latinas and Latinx and the Hispanic community at large are taking the place that we need to take to continue to advance our community and other communities as well.
With that said, you did mention, that the communities we serve are not representative of the community, not represented in those leadership positions. And I'll bring it back of the federal government. The federal government makes all these decisions for all communities. However, my strong belief is we have to have more Latino leaders in positions in the federal government, and they need to have a seat at the table so that when they make decisions that impact all communities, we want somebody that thinks like Sarita, looks like Miguel, talks like Sarita, and many other like us, so that when they make those decisions, they say, caramba, no, we can't go that way because this is going to impact this community this way, or we can't go this way because it's going to impact it. But I would like it to be a global consideration, not just Latinos. Our Latinos can be in those leadership positions, but I want them to set the bar. In other words, he's a Latino or she is a Latino in leadership position, but when they make the decision, they don't not only think about Latinos, they think about the global community, so that makes sure everybody gets a piece of the pie. In other words, there's the same level playing field for everyone. And your comments brought that to mind immediately. But we've gotten this far, but I need to ask you, if you were somebody was beginning, if you knew of someone who was beginning their professional career, be it in the government or be in whatever, what kind of advice would you give them?
Sarita, 4 things, and I will get straight to the point. Number 1, get a mentor and a group of mentors. That is key. Number 2, as soon as you can, participate in a leadership development program. The earlier, the better. Get out there and start learning these leadership skills that are so needed to advance in your career. Get involved in an affinity group or diversity and inclusion efforts like employee resource groups or like an affinity group. Get involved, and I will go even further. Sit in the board. Get a leadership opportunity experience ASAP, because through affinity groups, I got access to places I would have never gained access by just doing a job. All right. And the last thing, number 4, seek jobs that are hard. Seek jobs that people don't want.
volunteer to do those jobs too.
Yes, yes, volunteer to do that, because let me tell you, people run away from those. And I got to a senior position because I went to places that many people didn't want to go, and said yes to opportunities that deep inside I was afraid of maybe not being ready. But when you tell yourself, I can do this, even when you're shaking with fear, but you take the step, that's what I want to ask people. Take those hard jobs, get those mentorship opportunities, participate in those leadership programs, and sit on a board of an affinity group or a similar organization that gives you the leadership experience that will increase your confidence.
I'm glad you mentioned the mentorship. A part of it, we recently did the Senior Executive Roundtable and Mentoring session that we do through the Federal Training Institute. And I was amazed that we received messages back from some employees that said that they had no idea that existed, that these programs existed. So I'm reaching out to our community and say, look, these exist. If you have questions on these type of issues, get in contact with us through LULAC, because we will provide you. I was fortunate enough during the pandemic, was able to provide all this training free of charge for the community. And it was not just the Latino community, it was for all communities. And thank you for your participation this year as well. And in terms of the leadership skills, I'm gonna plug it in right now. LULAC offers what we call the Senior Executive and Leadership Development Training. Again, I was able to provide that 2 years in a row, free of charge because of pandemic. Well, I'm happy to say that we're going to be having it again next year, but we're going to be having this during the convention in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So I invite all of you who are interested in getting a little more information about the executive core qualifications that's required to become a leader, join us. And not only that, a lot of times I've heard employees say, well, they won't let me go because they say I'm not a leader. And I say, turn around and tell them, that's why I want to go, because I want to become a leader and I want to get those skills. So that's very important. And there are programs out there that you can take advantage of. All you have to do is seek them, look for them, and ask your managers to send you to these training, because one of their jobs as managers is to further develop you, because agencies who develop their employees have less loss of employees than those who don't invest in their employees. So that's a critical, important piece of information. And again, would you repeat those 4 characteristics when you're beginning your professional career to know?
No, absolutely. Mentoring, leadership development, participate in an ERG or affinity group board leadership position, and seek a job that is hard, that gives you the skills to get to the next one.
You know, you mentioned you seek the jobs that nobody wants to do. Can you give us an example of a job that you volunteered to do, and of course you were successful, because I follow your career, but could you tell us something of the challenges? I'm going to share one of mine with you too.
No, Sarita, absolutely. I remember in every step of the way, since I was a GS13, I remember going to the office of my senior executive and say, hey, listen, I want a stretch opportunity. And they sent me to a job as a program manager that I wasn't really prepared to do, but they gave me the chance to jump in, learn, and do what I needed to do to advance the program. Was that job desired? Probably not. I remember then the next promotion I took was with an agency that was not well known, all right? That people didn't even know that existed. I took the job either way. And then in my last opportunity, military service, fast pace, going on. Some people told me, you are crazy. Why are you taking that job? Do you know that you will be working? I said, listen, don't worry about it. I am here to make an impact, to learn, and to continue to advance. So yeah, Sarita, I would say that almost every role that I accepted or applied for wasn't the favorite.
So the message is accept the challenge and move forward. So Miguel, thank you so much for all the information you've given us. I truly appreciate everything you're doing for us. Congratulations once again. But I want you to close it out for a message for our community. Send a message out to the community.
Thank you, Sarita, for the opportunity, and thank you for your leadership, for all the things that you are doing, LULAC, all the mentoring, all the leadership programs. Thank you, because thanks to what you are doing, what LULAC's doing, we are continuing to advance the Hispanic community. So I'm very appreciative of that. And to close, I will say this: level up and get out there and take that leadership opportunity. And I'm not talking about necessarily about a senior leader position. I'm talking about whatever next level means to you. Because if you get us a place in the table, we will continue to advance as a community and as people in general. But it requires thinking inside and saying yes. So that's my call to action. Say yes to your next. And often that next will be packaged as a challenge, will be packaged with fear, will be packaged with, oh my God, I don't think I can do this. Say yes to your next. Get that place on the table. If there is no place for you, create it, but get there and continue to advance your impact, your purpose, as well as the purpose of your community.
So I'll wrap it up with saying thank you, Miguel, and say yes to challenges porque sí se puede. Miguel, yes. Thank you so very much, and I hope to see you next year in San Juan, Puerto Rico as one of our main speakers. Love you to death, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sarita.